I made a couple of subtweets to go along with it. And I don't know who this guy is. Maybe you guys can tell me who he is. FGC Flash. I have no idea how this is. But on Twitter in the FGC, I'm notorious for getting shit from my bad takes. All my takes are bad, even though thousands of people like them, thousands of people agree with them. My takes are bad, guys. Apparently, I'm known in the FGC as a guy who gives bad takes. So explain to me how this right here is made by a guy who has 8,359 followers, okay? Obviously, he's some... Oh, his name is Flash Metroid. Okay, I know this guy. I had no idea who this was. I know that he's good at one fighting game or a couple fighting games. I don't know. I forget what the fuck game he plays, but... Either way, he says, where do casual players get this idea that they know more than the pros? Where does that ego come from? I really don't get it. So, couple of problems that I clearly are going to have with this off the bat. You're saying, where does the ego come from? I really don't get it. But making a tweet like this is egotistical in itself. Like, you're implying that... I'm assuming you're implying that you're a pro with this, okay? You're a pro and that people can't know more than you because you're a pro and they're not. Like, I'm literally getting that that's what he's implying here. Or just talking about pros in general, right? So how are you going to say that where do casual players get this idea that they know more than the pros? Where does that ego come from? The same place your fucking ego comes from, bro. Like, what are you talking about? The same exact place you got your ego from. You typing this shit was egotistical in itself. So how are you going to call out people for being egotistical, but that's what you are? You know what I'm saying? Like, that makes no fucking sense. But either way, that aside. So, first and foremost, there's so many things wrong with this statement, guys. Do you know how many Tekken players there are out there in the world that people have never heard of that are probably the nastiest Tekken player on the planet? Put it to you like this. Put it in perspective. Until Tekken 7, if I'm not mistaken, until Tekken 7, nobody knew that Pakistan had such a talented Tekken scene. At least from my knowledge. Like, it wasn't out there like, yo, Pakistan's nasty. Like, it was always just usually Asian Tekken players, right? Like, Japan, Korea, whatever. Those were the best Tekken players. Pakistan emerged in Tekken 7, and now it's Pakistan is a problem now, right? Like, Pakistan is fucking everybody up, essentially, or it's going back and forth, whatever. So, because those guys weren't super well known in the U.S. and weren't known as pros to us and people in Korea, that means that they can't be more knowledgeable than you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, we have this problem in the FGC, I swear, and it's where these pro fighting game players, and I want to actually elaborate on that more in a second, but these pro fighting game players think that because they have I'm a pro Smash player in their bio, that makes them a professional gamer. That does not mean that. Like, people just throw this shit around, like this word pro, and they don't understand what professional even means, because the problem is that unless you're getting paid a salary, okay, and living off of being a professional gamer, you are not a fucking pro, okay? A pro is someone who profits from something, and that's their main source of income, essentially. Or it's like their main thing, you know? I mean, I guess you can be like a pro at multiple different things, but when we're talking about gaming, we're talking about like a career. Like, you're making a career out of gaming. Whether that means that you have a side job, whatever it is, but you have to be at least making like real accomplishment and covering real ground if you're going to call yourself a pro fucking fighting game player. So I want to go ahead over here and show you guys where the word pro comes from. So I want you guys to imply this over everybody you've ever seen call themselves a pro gamer. I want you to add this definition to it, okay? All right, here it is. So the word professional, pro is short for professional, correct? It says engaged in a specified activity as one's main paid occupation rather than a pastime. A professional boxer, as example, right? Professional boxer, Floyd Mayweather. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got all these crazy professional boxers. They're living off of boxing. Okay, that's what they do. And obviously, you can have a side job if you're a boxer, whatever. But this is your thing, right? And then my next question was, how many pros are even in the FGC? Like I'm not saying there's not a lot of pro fighting game players out there or pro gamers in general that don't make enough money to live off of. I'm not saying that. But you know how many people I come across that when you go in their bio, it says professional commentator or professional fighting game player or professional fucking gumball eater? Like, just because you have a little banner on your background and like your characters are faded into the fucking picture and you got a little nice font on there that says your name, that doesn't make you a professional fighting game player. You know what I mean? Like, I worked for Team Ninja as a commentator. I officially got hired. I signed documentation. I worked as a commentator for Team Ninja for Koei Tecmo for the DOA 6 World Championship. That wasn't something that I volunteered for. I got hired. It was a hiring process. They picked me and Shade Swift Eye. If I wanted to call myself a professional commentator, I could do that. I'm not going to do that because it's fucking stupid. But you get what I'm saying here. Like, I literally profited from that for an entire year. That was like a job for me. You know what I mean? And then I said, so I made another tweet after that. I said, I hate to break it to some of y'all, but having an FGC banner with your fighting game names faded in the background doesn't make you a professional fighting game player. Where's your bread from your sponsor or your tournament earnings? You know what I mean? Like, you can't call yourself a pro for the sake of calling yourself a pro. Like, what, you know, like, for example, with my career, I'm a police officer. I'm considered a professional. Like, you have to be a professional to do the job that I do. I use this lightly because obviously that's not the case a lot of the time. But I'm considered a professional at what I do, my job, right? I make money from that. I have a salary. I have a pension, right? Like, where the fuck is that when it comes to you guys' fighting games career? And people will probably ask me, like, why this annoys me. But it annoys me because you have guys that make tweets like this. Like this fucking Peter Sushi FGC Flash guy who makes a tweet like this. So you're implying that you're a professional. You play fighting games as a full-time fighting game player. This is how you make your bread. This is what you've invested your life into. And I'm not saying he isn't. But people are agreeing with this as if this is like a fact or something. You know what I mean? And that's the issue that I started to have with it. It's like, you can't make a comment like this and then have all these people agreeing with you that think they're professional fighting game players when they're fucking not, bro. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only part of it that kind of agitated me from I guess you could say, like, a viewer's perspective on this whole tweet. I'm just like, what does that even mean? Like, you know how many disgusting DOA players? I'll put it to you guys like this. There was this guy named XDest in DOA 4. He was an Ayane player. He was ridiculous. One of the best Ayane players I've ever seen, probably. He did eventually start going offline, but it wasn't enough to consider himself a professional, I guess you could say. He started competing, but he was ridiculous. He was beating, like, the top fucking guys at the time. But he was considered a casual because he didn't travel. So you mean to tell me that XDest, a guy who never went to a tournament, didn't have more knowledge than a guy, say me, who actually went offline and played in tournaments? Like, am I more of a pro than him because he's never been offline, or because you get what I'm saying here? Like, this shit is dumb. And the problem with this shit is that you just give motherfuckers like this platforms, and the reason that this guy made this tweet is because he has 8,359 followers, so he felt like he can get on Twitter and say this bullshit. And that's bullshit. Like, who the fuck do you think you are, bro? Like, well, you guys don't know. Where's this ego come from? Like, bro, you play games. You fucking smash buttons at a accurate time and fucking win fighting game matches. Like, what is this? Egotistical, like, bro, you think you're important because you play fighting games. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, if we really want to talk about it here, like, if we really want to get down, you're over here talking about somebody having an ego, but you think you're the shit enough to make this tweet and you play fighting games for a living. Like, you know what I'm saying here? Like, what the fuck are we even talking about, bro? Like, what are you going on about, bruv? Like, what the fuck is this, you know? That shit's hilarious to me. It's like, pro, like, what qualifies you to be a pro fighting game player, my boy? Like, where are you getting that from? Like, that shit irritates me so much. Fucking dudes being good at hitting buttons on a device and they think they're like celebrities and shit, bro. Like, that's insane to me. Like, why he on dick? Like, that shit's crazy as hell, man. But anyways, we're gonna get started on the stream, but I just wanted to share that with you guys. I just hate dumb people, bro. Like, I swear. It's like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, casuals? The casuals know more than the pros. Like, you know how many pros that have never been to a tournament in their life and probably have never will be, but they'll bust that ass? You know what I mean? Like, you think there's nobody out there that can beat the U.S. Tekken players offline in the tournament, but, you know, Shadow is considered a pro, but you mean to tell me there's not some nasty basement dweller out there that will come and bust his ass? Like, no, bro. Like, we're talking about video games. You're not a fucking neurosurgeon, bro. You're not the only one that can do this shit. Like, shit is crazy to me.